This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 537 for the week of Monday, September 17th, 2018. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
And on today's show, very special guest, translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, we have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey, pretty good.
That's good. We also have our anime recap host, and from Anime News Network, we have Sam Leach with us. How's it going, Sam?
That's me. One more?
You really took me off guard there. I didn't expect, like, the Mario thing. And last but certainly not least, we have our editorial writer and contributor, Jill Knight, with us. How's it going, Jill?
It's pretty good. Hello, everyone.
So, on today's show, we have a manga recap of chapter 917, Food Treasure Barge. We also have an anime recap. Which episode's that for, Sam?
That would be for 853.
And, we also have some Piece Together and trivia for you guys a little bit later in the show. If you haven't checked out last week's episode, we go through Vivre Card, which is supposed to arrive in the mail for me tonight, which is a little late for that episode. But we also, whenever our next break happens, we're going to be doing our volume 90 recap. And when I say our break, I mean One Piece's break. So whenever Shonen Jump or One Piece are on a break next, and Steven were nice enough to go through that with us. So excited to go through that with everyone when that happens. And I want to remind people, please support us on Patreon if you have not, at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Subscribe and get all sorts of cool benefits, including a chance to be on the show, a chance to be on the trivia round, and a lot more. All that at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. I think that's just about it. Not a lot of huge One Piece news this week, which seems rare lately, actually. So why don't we get right into the show? You guys ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, I'm not.
This is the manga recap for chapter 917, Food Treasure Barge. Ed, what's going on the front page here?
Well, we got the Saga of the Self-Proclaimed Straw Hat Fleet Volume 44 bonus story. Here I was under the impression that a bonus story would be one chapter. How wrong I was. But the title of this one is There is Unbreakable Fabric in This Town. But Bellamy's not in the town. He's in his office. He's just sort of drawing stuff.
This is the most meta Oda has gotten. This is literally what he does on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's like the Norman Rockwell self-portrait of Oda.
You can see him mixing his own dyes in the background.
He's specifically drawing a straw hat, Jolly Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
Interesting.
It's also interesting that this is clearly, I don't know if this is the unbreakable fabric he's working with here, but what do you call it? The caption makes me kind of like suspicious as to what's going on here exactly. I don't know, Steven, if...
Yeah, I feel like, it's clear from like the Straw Hat logo and talking about the fabric that it seems like kind of Bellamy wants to, make this sort of symbolic gesture for the Straw Hats to like create a special flag for them or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's
their symbol.
Yeah, or maybe he's doing he's going to make a whole bunch of them and hand them out to the fleet or something. Which actually that probably makes more sense since this is the story of the fleet. But it is odd, because it does kind of feel like there is an element of meta commentary here, just having it be so similar to the creating art process. So
for me, it just reminds me of the Spirograph guy from The Simpsons.
wow.
Okay.
Super specific reference. Ed, you want to start us off?
Sure. We're back in Okobore town in Kuri, and the townspeople they're noticing things. It sounds like a ruckus in town. There's a child crying. He's so hungry. This woman has her toddler and the baby on her back, and Don't embarrass yourself. Stop that. But I'm hungry. You're a boy of Wano. Don't ever let me catch you complaining. And the other people are just going about their day mostly as the child cries because he's hungry in the background. But a man comes running up to Otsuru and says, "Do you have any evil purging herbs?" And he looks very distressed because his child couldn't take the hunger and drank from the river like Tama had done a few chapters ago. And you can see the black sludge pouring from a pipe into the river. And, it's obvious what's going on here. So over to the far end of Bakuroda Town, and it's this beautiful, idyllic, it's the Paradise Farm. And you hear a voice say, "It's time to harvest. Load it up onto the cart." And you get to see all these panoramas, or not panoramas, but all these like slides of beautiful food and fish and bales of something and fresh fruits and eggs.
Even these cows look like they're spoiled and gluttonous. They're like, "Ugh, I get too much of this."
That cow has shifty eyes, actually. Look at that. He's plotting.
What's that supposed to mean? This is where they get the Wano-gyu.
Smart cows. With the rooster crows, which doesn't really make sense because that roosters don't lay eggs.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's weird.
The other weird thing.
Be a hen.
The other weird thing is, why are they still alive? There's so much I'm confused about there.
To serve the purpose of laying eggs, which they can't do.
In Wano, they can.
Maybe it's just the proud papa.
Yeah.
It's like, look at what I did.
But wouldn't they be unfertilized eggs normally to eat?
That is how that works.
So many questions.
So we get a voice that says, "Once you're done unloading, slip out through the back way to Okobore." And the smaller hands with the smaller, dirtier hands, he throws the coins in and says, "5 pieces of silver, please. This isn't enough to feed my family for a whole week. I can't even buy enough water with this." And the big guy sort of kicks him in the butt, and he's like, "Go talking back." So it seems like these are some bandits who are working with either those are the bandits or they're working with like some low-level guard at the farm to steal food there. So
what, they don't like falafel?
Crunch patties, Steve, please.
Steven?
I would assume that these are just the guards, making sure the farm is protected, and then they just kick the laborers out the back. Yeah, because they're not allowed to go through Bakura town; they have to go out the long way.
Yeah, this wasn't exactly it wasn't clear at first.
Yeah. So on the next page, we get another cool kind of long distance shot from Worm's eye view towards the gate, and someone is calling for the gates to Bakura to open, and they say, "Oh, look at all that tasty food you got there." Nee! And now we see closer up that the gates are opening, and there's a large shape coming through, and there's some obviously some kind of henchman going, "That's right, Miss Speed. Look, we've got the food right over here." And this Speed person, who has an odd silhouette in this first or in the second panel here, says, "Oh, but I already can see." "How, you ask?" "Because my vision is 350 degrees. And we see that this Equestronaut here is none other than Speed, the aforementioned Speed, the headliner for the Animal Kingdom Pirates. And she has the horse smile fruit. And she is pretty much just straight up a centaur.
Yeah. Did you say she was an Equestronaut?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And I love this, the 350 degree eyesight thing where, she's clearly, looking back, she's clearly looking away from the gate in the smaller panel. But she's talking that she can see. And I think this joke only works because he drew her eyes straight on the front of her face like a normal human's. Whereas obviously a horse's eyes are more on the side of its head. And that is why they have such a wide range of vision.
You would want to make her look like a monster, Stephen.
Apparently not. And then they're saying like, "Oh wow, that's some horsepower." And then she beams as a horse is wont to do. As she's, "Oh, you think so?" Nee! And they're saying even her smile has horsepower. and the joke there, or the thing that they're repeating is they keep saying the phrase umanami, which means it means like on the level of a horse or similar to a horse, and which is interestingly enough normally used in Japanese in which would be translated in English as a phrase. I'm going to censor myself here, blank as a horse, but that's obviously not the case here.
Wow.
But
and here I thought people were just trying to be nice about calling her horse face, but
yeah, and also another thing that I learned while looking this up, because I was going to make a joke, that like, okay, well, the front of her is clearly, like a pretty straightforward Oda female design if you don't count the back. But then it made me wonder, like, well, if should she have the human boobs? Should she have human boobs, or should she have horse boobs? Should there be two, or should there be more? And I actually did not know. I did not know that apparently, unlike cows, female horses only have two teats. So
I'm so glad you looked that up, Steve.
He's accurate in that sense. I can confirm there. I
could confirm that horses do really laugh like that, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, most people can. What was that show, Mr. Ed?
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed.
Go
Ed,
ahead.
can you confirm this?
So in the meanwhile, there is a guy is ringing a bell, just banging on it with a hammer, and then Speed notices, a fire alarm bell, and then there's this group of firefighters, and they've got these kind of traditional firefighting accoutrements here of the capes and the ladders and these kind of banner things. And they're all rushing to get to the fire. Out of the way, folks! Move it, coming through. We got a fire happening. Let's go, vamoose! And they're rushing, and all of a sudden, there's like a crowd of cheerleaders that are screaming and throwing hearts, and they're claiming the fire in the name of the best firefighting squad in Wano, Igumi. And they're like doing stunts on the ladders. Woo, ha, yeah, fire, woo!
When does their calendar come out?
There's a guy on the top swinging the banner, and this gets Speed. Just put the damn fire out already, as she screams at them. And this is kind of a bit of a caricatured depiction of the old-fashioned like Edo era firefighting squads, which were. They were definitely kind of a cultural artifact of the time, because until the contemporary era, all the buildings were built with wood, and so there were just very frequent huge devastating fires that would just sweep through the city of Edo. And they came up with this system of firefighting where like each block or each area of the city had its own firefighting squad, and they would like compete for like the honor of putting out fires. And so the Igumi, you can see it better in the second panel, where they have the little hiragana for E, if you know your hiragana, inside the circle. And they had like in Edo, I don't know what it's like in Wano, but obviously he's just kind of doing a brief little gag here. There were teams named after each of the 48 the characters, the kana. And so that's how they were all styled. So you had the Igumi and Rogumi and Hagumi and all these different things like that. So while they are putting out this fire, Speed notices that this is Hold'em's mansion. And hey, what's with all the destruction? And then one of her followers points in the other direction. Over there, Miss Speed. And she's like, yeah, no, I see it. I can see it perfectly fine. I have 350-degree vision. There was supposed to be a sumo event today, and off in the distance you can see the floating. What did they call it again? The something Yane.
Shrine, portable shrine.
Yane or something like that.
Tsudiyane, yeah, that's right.
Yane,
yeah. And then we move on.
Steve.
And we cut to Otama in the grips of the lion belly. She calls out, "Big bro," as she's locked in the jaws of the lion, and we get Hold'em with a big belly laugh. As he says, "Save her? How do you intend to do that? Hmm?" It's like, hey, if you show any resistance, then she'll be mercilessly crushed, not mercifully. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to say. She'll be crushed in the jaws of my stomach. Kamichiro, the lion. Wah. As we get the name of Hold'em's tummy.
His tummy?
Finally.
Crap factory. Kamichiro.
The kami, the Jiro is obviously just like a typical Japanese name ending thing, but the kami, the kanji for that one means to bite. So I like to call the lion Bitey Jiro.
Sounds about right for a cat.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I forgot what I was gonna say. So in the SBS, do you think the lion is gonna have to get a different birthday and all of that information, or is this just like they're like the fact that they have separate names is kind of bizarre. But,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Luffy retorts with, "Let go, Tama, or I'll whip your ass." And then it's this reaction from the rest of the crew, and she yells out again. She says, "Big bro, Okiku, Kamachio, and the other guy." And Hold'em just chuckles. He says, "You talk big, but it's like, do you have any idea what this little brat can do?" It's like, "I'll take them hostage and then capture Shutenmaru in the bargain." And then we're all like, who's that? Who's this? They don't have an Oda box. But he says, "Don't play stupid. It's the boss of your band of thieves." Okiku apparently knows exactly what he's talking about as she mutters his Shutenmaru's name inside her noggin. And then he continues, says, "We know the ones responsible for the recent thefts from the farm are the people in the Atamayama Thieves Brigade." I think I got that right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Feel like it's a little bit of a tongue twister. Given that you defeated Urashima, though it probably was a fluke, I expect you're one of his more important henchmen. He's feeling pretty proud of himself.
Man, he's dumb.
Yeah.
And we turn the page, and Okiku is leaning in to whisper something to Luffy. "Luffy Taro, please try not to make him angry." Huh? I don't know. He seems pretty angry already. But no more. Don't make him any angrier. What the townspeople truly fear is who stands behind him. It is the right-hand man of the Animal Kingdom Pirates Captain Kaido, a warrior named Jack the Drought who sits in control of Kuri. And Zoro's rubbing his chin like, "Hey, didn't we bust his ass already in Zo?" Luffy's like, "Oh, yeah, that's right, him."
Look at all the townspeople that are sort of crowding around.
To be fair, an elephant busted his ass.
As we see. It's adorable.
Yeah. Luffy is continuing to say, "Oh, you mean the one who poisoned the cat and the dog? But I thought the elephant smashed him." And he's in his. You get this little cartoon version of Zo busting Jack's ship of the Zunesha.
So
Jack and his ship sank into the ocean, and Okiku is standing in the background, a little lost. Are they talking about animals? Just cats, dogs?
I'd like to believe that
elephants.
this is a Robin moment for her. Like, oh, animals?
You are aware.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
before you move on, just like, are we supposed to think these two guys peering around the corner are supposed to come back in some way, or are they just?
Well, isn't that one of the announcer dudes? Weren't they the guys who are like, or the doctors?
I thought.
No, I don't think so.
They look like they're gonna tattle.
Yeah, it looks
someone.
like it looks like this. They're clear. The fact that they get their own panels kind of odd, and like
Yeah, that is true.
double
I didn't
panel.
think about that.
Yeah. Next week maybe. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
So Okiku is saying, so you're aware of Jack's wreck at sea. He is not dead, it turns out. He arrived here several days ago. And Luffy and Zoro are proclaiming, "What? If you anger Hold'em and the man they call the Drought shows up for vengeance, the entire town will surely be reduced to a desert wasteland. And Luffy is shouting up at Hold'em, "Hey, that's dirty. It's like you're keeping the entire town hostage." And Hold'em, he's just like, "I don't know what you guys are saying, but hurry up and take this kid back, like you said. Just know that the instant you move, this happens." And I guess he's flexing his gut, and the lion is chomping down. And Otama is crying out, "Ah, it hurts!" And Luffy is telling him to knock it off right this instant.
Steve.
And Hold'em once again laughs. Gah! Hey, I could get used to this. The pain screams of the inferior. Wow, you should run for office. Otama just yells out in pain again. He's like, "Hey, don't forget, I owe you for busting down my house." And then, bang! I guess that's a sound. As we get Speed and just the cavalry of food from the farm, I take it. And she's like, "Hey, Hold'em, what's all the ruckus?" And everyone's like, "Oh, it's Miss Speed," as she's chewing on an apple, which
Of course.
horses love apples. And the rest of the I wouldn't say this is the crowd. These look like people that are in Kaido's army. They're like, "Woohoo! It's Miss Speed's food treasure barge. So that's today's feast, boys." And I think it's just another guy saying, like, "I'm starving." And we get another close up of all the shiny food. And Luffy's like, "Damn, look at all that food." And Kiku provides some exposition saying it's food from the Paradise Farm. It's a harmless, healthy harvest raised on pure, clean water. And then Luffy's like, "Why is it only for them?" and he says, "Zoro, you get that one. I'll get Tama." Zoro just nods and says, "Sorry, Kiku. Looks like we're going to grab and run." And Kiku's like, "Huh? When? What time?" She says, "Yeah, he'll probably get mad, but at least we're not going to smash the guy." This is
I think they're referring to Kinemon. Zoro,
no. Okay, so this is a bit confusing because it's not actually clear from the text, but the insinuation, at least to me, which seems the most obvious, is when he says he'll probably get mad, Zoro's referring to Jack, but at least we're not going to smash, Hold'em. They're just going to get Otama back.
Yeah.
I thought they were
And steal the food
to Law about causing a scene.
Oh, no one cares what he
that could be. It could be that too as well, or whoever told Zoro not to mess around.
Which was Kinemon, they said.
Yeah.
So I mean, not a big deal either way.
Right.
Yeah, Steven,
it works.
make that less vague. Get on it, Jill.
All right. We go back to the entrance of Bakura Town, and Hawkins and his gang are riding in, back from their trip out. He's looking for Hold'em. He says there's a big scene. He's not picking up the Denden Mushi. And then he sees a figure wearing, I don't know what that is, like a straw bucket hat, wielding a familiar sword.
Don't these have names, these hats?
Probably.
I don't know. Go ahead.
He says, "Stop where you are, Basil Hawkins." And Hawkins doesn't know who this is. He says, "Who is this? He's mighty." Listen, all you got to get close enough is to see his fingers and be like, "Oh, that guy." Yeah. There's no one else who can do that. And surprise, it's Law, who says that one is a closed country with no information from outside, so I should destroy anyone who would actually recognize us. So, let's cause a big scene, killing this other strong supernova, because that's not going to get you recognized at all. Sorry, Law, it's too late. It's already too late. It doesn't matter.
It is Law. He could just make him disappear elsewhere, right?
I guess that's true.
That's
He
true.
says destroy, so
Yeah.
we'll see how he deals with this. We go back to where Luffy and the gang are, and Hold'em says, "I don't need 3 hostages. Let's execute one. I'll choose the woman. Step forward." And Luffy and Zoro just kind of look as Okiku is grabbed by some of the men.
Well, they're
and
cracking
then-
their necks like they're getting.
Oh, they're getting ready.
Yeah, they're simultaneously cracking their neck. That is going to be a GIF within the next year. Just get ready for that to be all over Twitter. Go ahead.
And then with some speed lines and some really cool panels with the two of them, we see, was that a Crunk? As Holden suddenly just gets pummeled. And Tama is gone.
Well, less Hold'em and more Bitey
Oh,
Jiro.
you're right.
Yeah.
The tummy.
Bitey Jiro.
Bitey Jiro.
There.
For those who care about such things, apparently the mask is called a Tengai or a Tengui, a type of casa worn by
Like
monks.
monks, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Wikipedia has a whole article about it for those curious. They're called Komuso, I think. Komuso, whatever it is. Okay, Stephen. Before I make an idiot out of myself.
All right. So then we see that it is Luffy who has made off with Otama, and he says, "Let's scram, Tama," which is probably short for "Let's scramble, Tama goes." And he says, "Sorry for taking so long." She's like, "What?" And Hold'em too is baffled, like, "When did you wait? What?" And meanwhile, Komachio is barking, woofing, and based on the tears in his eyes, I'm guessing it's out of relief. So Hold'em is yelling at his lion, and then he's giving orders to get the brat back, but there is just what appears to be like a storm of slices that just cuts through this crowd of the goons, and even Speed is just sort of like, "Wait, what?" And she's got the shock mark coming off of the back of her head as she sees them all getting cut behind her, which is a pretty great detail. And Okiku is all of a sudden she's like tugged upwards, and then we see that it's Komachio who has just picked her up in his mouth, and Zoro is ordering the dog, "This way, dog." How convenient is that Komachio is the perfect size to pull on this food treasure barge, as it immediately just starts rushing it straight out of town, and they all hop aboard and leave the goons in the dust. And Luffy is like, "Hey, what's up with your cheeks? How are your cheeks doing?" And Otama she says she's fine, although she's got little tear marks in her eyes, and her poor little cheeks are all swollen and dirty, and she's like, he only tugged on him a little bit with his pliers. I don't know why you can't pull out my dumplings that way. And this just infuriates Luffy, who he was already pissed off about her being trapped, but now he's like, "Pliers," and clenching down on his little stick there.
Nobody disrespects my Tama.
And he leaps back up. He just tosses Otama behind him, and turns around and leaps backward. And he's already got his arm extended. And Hold'em seems to be kind of delighted that Luffy's coming back to challenge him. And he says, "Roar, lion fire!" As poor Kamijiro here does not really look great, but he seems to be preparing to spit up something as he goes.
It's a hairball.
No.
He's flexing his gun again.
Bitey Jiro has a little heartburn as he, as Tama falls, saying, "Look, I'll be fine. You don't have to do this." I assume there's a Doppler effect thing going on there. And Bitey Jiro throws a bunch of fire straight at Luffy, and it looks like, that's it. Luffy's dead. That's the end of One Piece. As the scrambled eggs falls down, and what do you call him? Hold'em says he's gonna pack the finishing blow here with his, oh, what a great technique name this is, the Trick Mechanism Sword. Yeah, okay. Can't wait to see that happen. But before we do, Luffy fires up his Gum Red Hawk, and Caesar Clown gets punched. Wait a second.
Thank you.
Hold'em gets punched right in the face.
You can tell by the whiskers.
Literally the only difference between that panel.
And the whiskers aren't in the second panel.
Well, I assume they got
burned off.
singed. Yeah. So
Different
nevertheless, and the hat went flying, so at least he had that. Nevertheless, very cool panel that I'm sure Oda didn't just duplicate. No, it looks cool as he gets punched. Hold'em gets punched straight in the face, and not in his gut face this time, his regular face. And Luffy gives a nice badass look, and that's it for this week. Yeah,
I'm curious here with the with the way that Hold'em is like barfing out fire. Do you suppose that's like the flame from Luffy's punch, or do you think that like the fire that
the lion?
Yeah, that the lion, like it's all inside of his system, and Luffy is just punching the rest of it out, coming up out of his mouth.
I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
it has to come out some way.
yeah.
Right.
If it doesn't come out your stomach. Okay, let's not use our imaginations too much.
That's the best. Thing.
Probably good advice. Jill, thoughts on this chapter?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. There was some good action. I actually got spoiled for a bit of it, so it didn't have as much of an impact as it could have. But I like Speed's like quirky designs. Like she does kind of look like normal Oda woman, but I like the ears. And then her weird horse face that she pulls is kind of hilarious. I don't know. I really like Luffy's reactions throughout the chapter because he's always been a glutton, but he sees that they're all hoarding the food for themselves, and he's been seeing the reaction that all the townspeople have had. So they're kind of grasping the seriousness here when they really see what's going on.
But they're still being so goofy.
Yes, that's true. And we have the reintroduction of Jack, so that's definitely going to come to a head soon, I think.
And the fifth reintroduction of Law and Hawkins, who both come back.
The Wicker Man, old basket head.
Those are two good ones.
How to get burned? How to get burned?
Is that what he's saying to Bakura Town? How to get burned?
Straw Man and Straw Hat. There we go.
Okay, all good titles. So is that anything else, Jill, or?
I think I'm good.
Okay. I didn't even. Oh no, those are just flowers. I thought they were weed symbols on Law's jacket there for a second.
That's right.
Not the case. Yeah, I don't see Law as the type. Steven, thoughts?
Yeah, this was interesting chapter. I liked that we didn't really waste a lot of time with Hold'em. And even though we also got the introduction of Speed, like she was kind of used more for gag purposes than like, oh, watch out, here comes the next big bad guy to watch out for. So I kind of, I appreciate that Oda isn't kind of like wasting our time. We feel like Luffy is and Zoro are properly equipped to deal with these chumps. Which I like because we're obviously building up to more important stuff through these chaos causing actions here. So yeah, I liked Speed's design. It could have been a real typical and Oda woman design, and there are elements of that. But I like the like Jill was saying, I like the crazy horse face thing. That was pretty funny, and I like the white and black alternating design. That's kind of striking. Let's see what else here. The reintroduction of Jack into the story is nice, and although it's a really minor thing, I actually kind of liked that he went out of his way to explain that like Jack is apparently he is the one who controls Kuri, because we haven't really seen like a lot of kind of like a wide spanning like what is the full scope of Wano, how many of these areas are there, like and what's the difference, because kind of as far as we've seen, it's just sort of like there's Kuri and that's where the Kozukis are from, and then there's the flower capital, and that's kind of the only thing that we know about it. So I kind of like that he's making it at least identifying that, okay, Jack is the boss of this area and Wano itself is bigger. There's more to this than what we know.
Would that make Jack like the daimyo, a la Odin? Like basically...
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what it would suggest to me, or the equivalent of such under Kaido's command.
I mean, it would add an extra level of like, I guess whatever the opposite of poetic justice is. That Odin's successor, so to speak, is the one who like went in and messed up Cat Viper and Dogstorm and Zoe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of twisting the knife a little more.
Dramatic irony, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe. Go ahead.
Let's see. The Law and Hawkins scene is obviously pretty brief, but that was kind of I think a tantalizing moment, and I liked. Although we didn't get a whole lot of it, I did like the sort of dramatic, like, oh, there's Law, and he's wearing a traditional hat, but he looks kind of silly knowing that it's Law. It's just like, oh, he's just wearing like a paper bag over his head practically, which
happy store
is exactly. It's kind of funny, but also like it's done very dramatically, which was interesting. And I think that's about all I have to say.
Sam.
There were some really notable moments in this chapter. Like I think that the last scene is awesome. Like that spread looks amazing. I think a lot of this chapter I'm overall kind of indifferent on. Just because it's we're not at this is not as juicy as Wano is going to get, I don't think. I wonder what it means that Jack is Kaido's right hand. I wonder if that means that is he going to be the strongest of the calamities, or is he just like the most loyal? I would like to believe just for escalation of stakes, I would hope that there's like at least one of the calamities who's like a 2 billion or whatever. I think that I feel like I wonder when the last time that Luffy punched somebody just to be vindictive. I feel like it's not quite been that especially between Hold'em and Urashima. There's definitely this vibe of like, okay, we're just giving us these guys who Luffy can just smash, and it's really satisfying that he does so. And I'm really getting like an early like Sabaody vibe from Wano right now, where like Hold'em kind of feels like a Duval, and the punching Hold'em kind of it has like it's the same kind of circumstance as the Celestial Dragons, where there's a consequence to punching the guy, but Luffy is like, screw that, I'll deal with the consequences, which are always really exciting moments. And also, with all the worst generation guys showing up, that's also another. So it just makes me wonder, like, with how relatively low stakes everything is being right now, it makes me wonder how much more it's going to ramp up once this real story gets started.
Ed?
I don't know. I find the gags in Wano to be top notch, but the story's been progressing a little bit slowly. Although I'm excited about the Hawkins Law encounter, because it feels like that's like the start of whatever they either fight or like make a conspiracy together. That's going to be the start of the actual sort of, the incident of Wano. Whatever happens here is going to start with them. After Luffy's just going to cause havoc. Because that's just what he does. But whatever plans Law is making, I think, is going to drive the action for the next little feature here. Speed's actually really funny. As is Hold'em, which is a big contrast between them and Jack. I mean, actually, on the whole, most of Kaido's followers are kind of goofy, except for Jack, who's very serious.
Well, the ones we've seen are almost exclusively gag characters.
Well,
in some
and there was
regard.
also Jin Rummy and the one with no clothes.
To be fair, yes. Well, that could be a lot of people in One Piece.
Back on Zoe, I meant.
Yeah, I know what you
Same
mean.
Character.
Yeah.
Actually, that might have been Jin Rummy. I forget what their names are, but they were goofy too.
Yeah.
Well, what was the other one?
Jin Rummy was the one without the clothes. Sheep's Head was the guy.
Sheep's
She
Head.
said. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to the gags staying in Wano. I'm excited about that, and yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping to move the plot more next week, but I enjoy these gags. I enjoy these chapters of just characters being, themselves in like amped up ways.
I feel like it's a smart way to start this because it's like it's like the comedy opener. We're warming up the crowd now and getting people entertained and enjoying Wano before we get to like the real big stuff. I feel like that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that follows some sort of kabuki or play structure in Japan, but yeah, that seems to be correct. I think I echo. Steve actually first before I have my opinion. Steve.
Well, I think you might echo what I have to say because I'm going to echo what Ed said.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of-
it's
Is there an echo in here?
hello. Chapter was okay. Yeah, the gags are top notch. It's been really funny. We're getting like the smile fruit users are all pretty interesting and kooky, but it feels like it's moving a little slow. But I mean, Hold'em just got punched, so I'm pretty sure that's monumental. We'll see where things go, but it was a fine one. It's not one of my more memorable or favorite chapters, but I am looking forward to Law and Hawkins fighting. I think any of the worst generation interacting with each other is all good, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I might just be spoiled. The last few chapters have been really good, specifically the sumo chapters. And this definitely felt more like falling action, which is weird since he's like defeating one of the early bosses, I guess, Luffy here, so to speak. I mean, I kind of echo, I think, what Sam said, that, it's an okay chapter. But I know what's going to come is going to be better, and there have been a lot of where we've been has been better, so I kind of felt mad about it. Speed, much like a centaur, she's half well done. I like her gag. I think the gag more specifically being that she says she has 350 degrees of vision, but she does not, as Stephen pointed out at the beginning, and that's a cool gag, and the laughing is a funny gag. Yeah,
no, it's not that I think she doesn't actually have it. I think she does. It's just it's funny because she's not drawn that way. That would actually physically make that possible.
Well, the reason I say I don't think she does is because I think she's surprised when Zoro kind of slices through the group on the second to last spread, or so like fourth to last page, because she kind of has that. It's that shocked sound effect thing. I don't know what to call that.
Yeah, the little shock mark.
Yeah, so that makes me think she does not know what's happening behind her, and that she's just kind of putting on kind of a ruse for people. I don't know. I think her design is kind of bizarre in half a good way and half an Oda way. My complaints toward what's her name? Bello Betty. I think Bello Betty at least had some historical context to it. Here, I don't think Oda knows how centaurs work. It's very confusing.
So, Zach, would you say you're yay or boo?
Should I get this reference?
Just answer the question. Are you more yay about this design, or are you more like boo?
Boo.
Because then we could just call her Boo Zach Horsewoman.
Oh
my
God. I thought you were making a nay joke.
Yes.
I don't know what he was doing, but he
Also
avoided
that.
the nay joke.
Stop being such a naysayer.
I love that show, but no. I think the designs in that are a little bit better. Yeah, I mean some parts of it are good, some parts of it are weird. For example, I thought on the second page she appears, which is like somewhere in the middle, I didn't realize that was her shirt. I just thought that was like the bow and arrow thing going over, and then I'm like, oh, it's just ridiculous Oda design to a T. And what should I expect from him at this point? But it doesn't mean I shouldn't point it out, I guess. As far I saw our contributor Ash did a big rant on Okiku. She's definitely still playing coy in my opinion here. Obviously she's naive as to what's going on with Luffy and Zoro, that's fine. But
I do think it's weird that like 2 or 3 times now there's been just like a tiny panel where she gets kidnapped, but it doesn't really seem to matter at all to the story.
Well, she escapes immediately both times. Yeah. Like obviously it's not. Obviously, that kidnapping was not a situation of danger, and I don't think the audience really.
It's just weird that it's there at all. Then.
Yeah, I agree.
Because these guys are mustache twirling villains, and they act ridiculously, so they're just going by the script.
And maybe they're just sexist.
She's clearly been told not to make a scene, so they'll probably end up being like a kidnap thing where she just gets the go ahead and just kicks some ass or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, with that I'm reserving. Yeah, look, the thing I could point out with Oda being kind of himself is with speed, but Okiku so far I don't think has kind of fallen into all of the pitfalls that Oda has usually with some female characters, which I think he did a much better job in general with Whole Cake Island. And Okiku so far I'm still happy with.
Yeah, I'll reserve my judgment for when she's sobbing and yelling for Luffy to help her.
Yeah. I'd like to. Yeah.
And it's hard to expect too much from like these kind of third party characters in these arcs, because like by definition they can't be like total badasses that are unless it's like a complete hermit character who has sworn to not interfere or something like that, and they need to be convinced to do so. Like the entire point of that having this villain, that the Straw Hats have to come in and do it because the Straw Hats are the center of the story. If these characters were able to solve this problem on their own, if they were powerful enough to do all of that stuff, then you wouldn't have a story. There would be no reason for this to be Luffy's adventure in Wano. It would just be like Okiku solves the problem, and it's all good because she's a total badass. There has to be a more nuanced way to kind of depict that sort of character, and
I'm torn.
It's limited.
I'm torn between that which is logical, and also just wanting a badass swordswoman. Because that's not something, I guess, Tashigi. I'm trying to think if that's something we've seen too much of in One Piece. And
you remember Punk Hazard? Not enough.
Yeah. Anyway, that and the highlight of the chapter is definitely Luffy's thought bubble with Zoe knocking over Jack. I still don't really care at all about Jack. I think we ranked him like one of the lowest villains when we did that villain ranking way back.
He's still new.
Yeah, but my opinion of him so far, is even with time is around the same. Just because he doesn't have a ton of personality. He has a cool devil fruit. He's kind of a badass. He has a big bounty. He's all those things shonen readers like. But I want some personality. Before I'll reserve my judgment of him as well. Him and Okiku. But. Nice to see Hold'em get his ass kicked a la Caesar. So I'll leave it there. Any other final thoughts from you guys? If not, actually, oh god.
Nay.
Before we move on, one last thing. I think this chapter just reiterates we need to get someone on who has a good grasp of Japanese historical history and culture. So if there's anyone out there who has some sort of expertise in that, we welcome you on the podcast. Please let us know. I put that out there on Twitter a few weeks ago, but it has been silent. So I'll make that pitch here on the air. Anyway, let's go on into the anime recap. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
This is the anime recap for episode 853, The Green Room, an invincible helmsman Jinbei. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have our good friend Ed.
Hello, Sam. Good to be here.
And joining us today, we also have our good friend Steve.
Ahoy, hoy.
Steve.
And the title card for this episode begins at 4 minutes and 46 seconds. So the episode opens picking up where we left off last week with Mascarpone and Jascarpone aiming at the mirror with their flaming arrows. Luffy is going for it. He's trying to break the mirror so that they can't get into the Sunny, but Katakuri is on top of it and kicking the shit out of Luffy. With lots of legs. He's got his crazy tentacle leg thing where he's like hovering all these legs up in the air. It's like a super memorable image of Katakuri.
I think it's kind of weird. I wasn't on this like line read of what he says of don't punch my siblings. Like almost not even like angry. He was more of, don't do that, just annoyed by it. As I don't think he's taking this fight seriously so much yet.
Yeah, it's
Hard to
definitely
keep track of all of them.
it's definitely Katakuri's mode right now.
Yeah, I don't know. This episode kind of annoyed me, partly for that reason,
Mhm.
because it's so middle of the arc to be, I don't know, stressing out this much over minor villains like
Little
Mascarpone and Jascarpone and being like, man, this isn't getting us anywhere closer to the actual resolution of this arc. but the dread that it like incurred in me made the green room sort of, it made that feel more earned, I guess. But it's still, man, I don't know. I really didn't care for the first 10 minutes of this episode.
So basically, Luffy finds a shard of the mirror he broke when he first entered the mirror world, and so it still leads into the towards the Sunny. So he can at least, it's too small for anyone to get through, but he can talk through it like it's a phone, and he's trying to get his crew's attention. And the Sunny crew they're currently sailing and trying to avoid cannonballs. The cannonballs have faces on them because everything does here. And get a little sequence of Brook jumping in the air, slicing the cannonballs that he can. Jinbei steering the ship, trying to stay safe. And that's around with the time when the Mascarpone and Jascarpone, they're shooting their fires into the mirror, and the Sunny is now on fire, or at least the bathroom is. Brook has a joke about how he smells fire, something's burning.
Brook committed
despite
to
him not
making
having a nose.
Committed to making jokes throughout this entire episode.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Never change, buddy.
Then we come to the sweets factory. We get a little update on how the cake baking is going. We get Sanji. He just perfectly cuts the banana. Like it's a full bunch of unpeeled bananas. He slices them up. The peels just blow off, and now all the bananas are like perfectly diced.
It's a good gag. I don't know. I found the gags funny with putting in Sanji, but at the same time, it's like we had to do it 3 times and not.
Yeah, it's getting repetitive at this point. Like we need to mix it up before they start joking again, I think.
It's going to be the new Buggy and Mr. 3 and Impel Down.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So there's a little dilemma that they're a little bit short on butter. It's enough butter to affect the taste, and they're worried that the cake won't be delicious enough to satisfy Big Mom. So
it's such a realistic solution to this that I find amusing. It's just like it's like taking it from like a women's health television cooking program.
Yeah, basically he's hey, go find some prunes. Let's add some baking powder, and let's pull back on the sugar a little bit. It's fewer calories that way, so it's better for the ladies, which is a super weird comment, I think.
And I just assume old women they don't want all the calories.
Yeah, and Pudding is swooning as usual. So Luffy gets Nami's attention, and he's trying to tell her to break all the mirrors. So when Luffy broke that original mirror, there's all this excitement of like, oh man, he can't even go back to the Sunny now if he wanted to. He'd have to find some sort of long way around. But now that we're remembering, okay, there are other mirrors. Let's break those too. So Nami is unsure about that, but that's when the tidal wave shows up. Big, giant, purple. It looks like grape soda. Tidal wave.
And so this is Katakuri's powers again, right? Because the orange is different. That's
It's Paraspero.
yeah, okay. Right. Oh no,
The orange is Paraspero. I think that the water around Totoland is just mostly juice.
Ah, okay.
And that's why it's not like it's why Big Mom's powers work on it, I think.
It's a little confusing.
So there's a big tidal wave. The camera's like panning up it. We see the big goofy face, and we hear that oh so familiar witch cackle from Big Mom. So Jinbei is now kind of barking orders, and there's a little montage of the crew getting the sail ready. Jinbei is asking, "Okay, Nami, how's the wind looking?" And she does that like super classic, like putting her finger up in the air, and she knows exactly where the wind's going based on that. Jinbei announces that he is turning the ship around, and that surprises everybody. They're like, "Oh, I guess we're all just gonna die then." I thought it was weird when they're kind of cycling through all the characters, and they're like embracing death because they're not sure what Jinbei is doing. Like Chopper is talking about the Doctor, and there's even like a whole like shot like of him remembering Dr. Hero look, which is I think felt really out of place.
I don't know. He was crying pretty hard after it was over. Still.
We're entering the green room, as Jinbei calls it, which is the space. You know, as the wave is collapsing, there's sort of an empty space, which is where you would see like surfers go through and stuff. It's the perfect place for fish children to play. So that's how Jinbei knows of it. He's able to sort of sail the ship perfectly through it. And I like how the lighting effect changes, where it's not everything kind of brightens up. The sun is kind of reflecting through the water. You've got the kind of the green atmosphere around there, and like everybody's shadows are now colored purple, basically.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed the use of silence. I do enjoy the use of silence on the soundtrack. Most of the time they do it, and it's actually something that the One Piece anime has done less of over the years, I think. And but it did sort of make this moment more special than it would be if there was just music droning on in the background.
Yeah, and Jinbei is doing his whole spiel of like, oh, this is a nice ship. We've got a good navigator. With someone to control it, this ship is invincible, and everyone's freaking out. You're so cool, Jinbei.
He is, though.
He's very cool. Jinbei's cool. I took that from Steve on Twitter. So Paraspero and Mom, they assume that they just got him. Like the Straw Hats are dead now, and Paraspero is very happy that his lie seems to have worked out. And so he's talking to Katakuri on the snail phone, and he's telling them that the Straw Hats are dead. And Luffy is shocked to hear this. He's like, "No, what?" But the Jascarpone and Mascarpone, they notice that what they can see through the mirror is that the ship does not look like it's underwater. At least not the room that they're looking through. So they're like, okay, well let's shoot another flaming arrow in there just in case. And that's when Nami shows up and smacks the mirror, smashes it with her climb attack. Also, like Nami's her hair is kind of coming undone a little bit, which is kind of a cool look.
I mean, I also like how that climb attack looks. But I feel like we get to see it up close so little, and I mean, she's just using it to smash a mirror here. It's not like it's actually doing anything, you know, that a bat wouldn't do. But I really like that design still.
Yeah. So yeah, and the crew are like, "What? Luffy can't get out now." And Nami's like, "Hey, it was Captain's orders. We want to make sure that his job is as easy as possible, right?" Which is kind of a cool moment. And then that's sort of the music's ramping up, and now it's now Luffy can focus purely on Katakuri without worrying, while leaving the rest of the sailing to his crew, because now the mirror world can't get into the sunny, and that's kind of how the episode ends. General thoughts, you guys?
Steve, what do you think?
It was a very slow moving episode, and by slow I mean the action really took its time, like Brooke just twirling through the air.
And like the bathroom is basically on fire for most of the episode, and it doesn't really add to the tension at all.
No,
it should be more burnt, you know. I feel like this episode takes place over the course of like 3 minutes in like real time.
Like Jinbei, even like when he's like feeling out the waves, like it's just really drawn out. I wish there was more about this episode that really stood out to me. I just didn't think this was really an exceptional episode. Sorry, this is the episode I chose to come back for. I just had the free time. But the the Jinbei scene is fun, but there was really no exceptional animation. But I thought a lot of the keyframes of Jinbei were drawn very well. I just couldn't help but feel like it was just, this was like an episode that took place in over 3 minutes, and it took 23 minutes to tell, including credits.
19 minutes after.
Yeah, 19 minutes. It wasn't really remarkable. I don't think it really didn't do much to progress Luffy versus Katakuri. Really, just this episode was about just the green room and smashing all the mirrors on the Sunny, and that was really it.
Ed?
I think I've given my thoughts on this episode. I thought the green room looked really cool. I did like that lighting effect. I did like the sort of the release of tension that made that moment exciting. But it relied a lot on just slow sort of dread and like shooting the fire arrows for 5 minutes, and it just I don't know. I mostly agree with what Steve said.
Yeah, I thought this was a very overall stiff episode. I think like something about the way that it is directed and paced is very unfocused and kind of lackadaisical.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I wish that the tidal wave looked a lot cooler, because I remember thinking it was so cool in the manga. I love how ridiculous the variety of obstacles that Big Mom can dish out is, and so like I think you really got to push that drama as far as you can, but all the opportunities to do so just kind of fall very flat in this episode. Like you've got all these things that are kind of going on in slow motion and at the same time, and none of them feel like they're not suspenseful enough. And even the green room scene, like it's a solid scene. I think there's some interesting stuff that they're doing with like the lighting and colors, but like it doesn't quite flow right. It doesn't really have the oomph that it needs. And by the time you get to the end of the episode, what you've accomplished is that Luffy can fight Katakuri some more, So that's more or less all that this is the kind of episode where you're really starting to kind of feel the grind of these kind of longer climaxes. And it's probably going to be this way for a few more episodes until it gets exciting again.
Well, we'll see. Do you have any information about the next episode?
No, other than the preview.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next segment.
Sure thing.
This is the Piece Together segment where we have questions, comments, scrambled tamagos, over easy tamagos, all your tamagos. That's all I got this week. Let's start
salad, scrambled tamagos.
There you go. Let's start with Ed. No.
Wait, no, that's not right. This piece.
Where if you were a Patreon subscriber, I think it's $5 and up. Now it's automatic. And join the Grand Fleet channel. You could send us your disc piece. First one comes from Morgul, who says, "While I'm enjoying the adventures of Luffy and Zoro, I am anxiously awaiting the return of the other Straw Hats, especially the ones who weren't at Whole Cake Island. How long do you think we'll have to wait before Oda brings them back into the story? Maybe you guys should do another contest similar to the Guess When Blank arc ends." So, Jill, you've won I think 2 of our last 3 contests. So I feel like you should tell us, what chapter will the Straw Hats reappear in?
What chapter are we on right now? What's
917.
920.
920. You heard it from Jill, who is our authority on such matters. So there you go. Next one comes from Abdul, who said, "I guess I wasn't wrong about speed." I guess being centaur or horse. He says, I like this better, of course. These headliners are so much fun. That he was wrong about what speed would be, which I don't remember what he said. Oh, here, he did. Is this what he said? No, I don't know. Anyway, the last disc piece is from Grimpy Row, who says, what a creepy body morphing smile would you guys like to have?
I don't know if I could smile like a llama or something. I could freak people out with it.
No, like a smile fruit. I think he meant, but
I was distracted by the horse.
Yeah, this is a very
don't feel
misleading
bad.
chapter.
Yeah, I thought the same thing for a second there too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I was seriously thinking like, well, I was thinking of my one friend who has like an adorable pit bull, and she has a great smile, and I'm thinking I can make that work. But what kind of animal? Ooh,
What part of your body would it be?
Yeah, that's a good question. We got a very similar question. I don't remember who asked, like, what animal would you want on your stomach, or a tummy animal? So if you want to answer that one too, that's fine. They're pretty similar.
tummy animal. Tummy animal.
Lion's kind of perfect, isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah.
an elephant would be pretty good because then he can just grab stuff and feed you from his trunk.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
And-
great. Extra
It's so-
extra arm.
Or it could
have
be a
an ele-
hippo, and you could be like, you could just walk around all day like frog. No, hippo.
Or so would that be like an elephant stomach, or just having like a?
No,
Yeah.
I'll hold them.
Like the face on your stomach so
Oh,
that
okay.
his trunk can reach up and feed you grapes or whatever.
Yeah, I think an elephant stomach would be really good, and you got that trunk, and it could also overcompensate.
Just stick it down your pants.
It could be misleading.
Instead
Wear
of
some
buying a
tight leather
sports car.
pants and be like, whoa, settle down there. I'm sorry for saying all that.
All right. First email comes from Martin, who said, "Are there any devil fruit powers you are still expecting to show up in the story?" That is
I guess
amongst the most
snail zone.
broad
Yeah.
questions.
Uh,
Sam, yeah.
I want to see a snail zone.
Would he be a transponder snail zone
My
or just a
God.
snail zone?
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. Because I mean, that basically means that you have telepathy, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's a good combo fruit.
It's yeah.
So it could
Would
be
he
like
have
that
to be
episode of
turned
SpongeBob.
into a transponder snail, or would it just be a transponder snail fruit?
Well, I mean, you could be a transponder snail, or you could be a hybrid of the two, and you generally gain your transponder snail characteristics. Like Chopper is just kind of part human now forever. He can talk, even as a reindeer.
Your eyeballs would stretch out.
So somewhat tangent, somewhat of a tangent. I could speak. I was listening to Radio Lab, which is a fantastic show, and they mentioned how a lot of fish apparently have the ability to change their gender. And now I'm just really on a whim, essentially, and I'm really upset.
Jurassic Park started.
I'm so excited for Jinbei to join the crew.
I was gonna say I'm so upset we didn't see more of that in Fishman Island as an extra power that would also be cool as a devil fruit. You could I guess that's Ivankov's fruit, but it almost makes Ivankov's fruit seem superfluous if half the fish on Fishman Island could do that anyway. I guess she could do a lot more. Ivankov,
Yeah, but even cough also gives you steroids.
yeah, that's true. She does.
Pretty cool like that. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of hormones, lots of hormonal things she could do. Okay, I think that's actually it for emails. We didn't get a lot this week, so you want to move on to Reddit, Steven?
First question on Reddit is from Lasso Man, who says, Luffy and Zoro seem very confident in Okiku's ability to defend herself against the members of Kaido's crew. Based on the little action we've seen of her so far, where would you rank her strength out of the members of the Straw Hats?
Okay. Ugh.
Who are we talking about?
Okiku.
Okiku. Well, I think
no
the
idea how to
height,
judge that.
Yeah, this is not a good. Yeah, no.
No frame of reference.
I think the height is supposed to be an indication of strength. I think in the New World, being tall means you're kind of naturally strong.
Wouldn't Brook be stronger than Luffy? Luffy in like
Well, he was born in like North Blue,
West, wasn't West?
West Blue, or
I don't
whatever.
know. He moved around.
He's
a
too
bunch.
skinny.
No meat on them bones.
know.
Exactly.
I want to say
Literally.
Wow, Zach, you only took 10 seconds to get to that.
she's not Monster Trio strong, but she's probably stronger than everyone else.
We've seen her attack, what, once?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's like, but
Against
that's also
moves?
saying she's stronger than Jinbei. I don't think she's that strong. Like Frankie, maybe. I think about. Frankie.
Yeah. Now let's argue about whether Jinbei counts yet, since he hasn't officially joined the crew. All right.
We'll see when the
so
Viva
we
card
got
comes
we
out.
got to
right?
stop calling them the Monster Trio and like the Monster Quadrangle.
The Monster Trio
the
and
Monster
the Emperor.
Square.
Monster Square.
The monster
it.
tetrahedron.
Yeah. All right.
Mongo.
Nuanda the Druid says, do you think Jack is going to show up before any more of the Straw Hats find Luffy? If he does, do you think Zoro and Luffy will fight him, or will Law force a retreat or something similar? I love the art this chapter. Rest in peace, Hold'em, and also throws a shout out to Steve for repping Ice Shield 21 in the question last week.
Oh, for my number 2. My big number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry that I didn't get that. My mind's not in the freaking toilet.
Clearly not. Yeah, Ice Shield 21's great. You should read it, especially if you like One Punch Man.
I actually just started reading it, so I'm pretty jazzed about it.
Jill's cool.
Like Sanji.
Yes.
And Jinbei.
Well, as for the original question, do you think Jack's going to show up before any more of these Straw Hats find Luffy? I feel like it would be really disappointing if it's literally just Luffy and Zoro all the way through, I don't know, beating Jack or something. Like, I feel like we have to get more of the crew into the picture before then. So I don't think that's very likely. But I think maybe that this thing about Law forcing a retreat or something along those lines seems more likely, just because we're still kind of building up just the whole scope of the plot of this arc. We really have not seen very much of that at all yet. We're just building up very slowly. So I feel like we need to get more of that before we get Jack into the picture. That's my guess. Natachi says, what are your thoughts? Well, I guess you probably already heard this, but what are your thoughts on the latest anime episode? I feel like Jinbei getting the ship to travel the wave was a bigger deal in the manga, and the way anime showed it didn't really emphasize it as much as it could have. This was probably his biggest moment as a member of the Straw Hat crew. What did you guys think of that?
I think we all agree.
Mm-hmm. That's disappointing to hear.
It was a very slow half of an episode.
All right. We will go to Nivers, who says, if anime existed in the One Piece world and none of the Straw Hats knew Japanese, who would prefer to watch their anime dubbed and who would prefer to watch their anime subbed?
Who are we 100% confident on the crew can read?
Robin.
Robin, Nami,
Nami.
Robin definitely subbed.
Chopper,
Sanji, Chopper.
Sanji.
Yeah. That's
Luffy and Zoro cannot read.
Yeah.
Frankie.
That sounds accurate.
Frankie definitely can because he read the Pluton transcript.
Yeah, but I still think
It's a picture.
I mean, it could just be a blueprint that he's.
I mean, we don't see
No,
Brooke reading much.
Well, music, you can read music.
That's true.
Yeah. I
no.
assume.
You
I
assume
assume.
just because they can, you assume they want to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're
That's
just
true.
narrowing down our options.
Yeah,
first.
so everyone's dub except for the characters we just named on the Straw Hat crew. So which would prefer subs of the
I
group?
think Robin would.
I agree.
Original content, Robin.
Yeah, she
feel like-
the archaeologist in her, you know.
I feel like the Usopp would care about the artist's original intention.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, who are we kidding? He would just brag that he saw it first.
Oh, you guys are watching the dub. I watched the simulcast.
No. Usopp's that guy who like when talking with all his friends who watch it dub, he makes up stories about what happens later in the series.
Oh my god, yes, definitely. He goes to anime convention and says, "Oh, you haven't read that chapter? Let me tell you about it." And then someone
Got
catches him.
spoilers
Like,
at the
Just
gathering.
like that.
Yeah.
Just like that Equestronauts episode. I think Chopper would be dubbed.
Yeah.
big time, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we've run that one through its paces. Books is cool. Says, with the introduction of Hold'em and his lion, I've noticed there are actually quite a few lion-themed antagonists in the series. I went ahead and compiled them into a pirate crew. They are the Shishiriously Dangerous Pirates. And this
like
includes Shiki, the lion from Thriller Bark with Absalom's face, Absalom, Hold'em, Kumadori, and Richie. How well do you think this crew would do in the new world? Maybe this is what Shiki has been doing this whole time.
Did he mention Shishilian and Peckhams?
No, he didn't. Shame on you.
They're not antagonists.
I guess.
They're pirates.
They're pirates.
Well, Peckhams is
Peckham's kind of.
Yeah.
technically. I forgot about the lion with Absalom's face. It's funny to think we've seen his face.
Yeah. I guess that's all. There's some real memorable characters there. Some real world beaters. Pencils for Life says, I just had a random thought about Vivi. Do you think it's possible that she might possess King's Hockey and she might end up giving off a blast of it if she or her father are attacked under Imu's orders during the reverie? Also, if they are attacked, do you think Sabo will end up helping her escape and possibly taking her to Luffy after Wano?
If Vivi had King's Hockey, it would have happened when she was on the bell tower screaming at the country.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why the
10
rain
minutes.
fell.
Oh, you're right. That's it. It's hockey.
Okay, yep, we proved it.
Unless Smoker used the dance powder.
I
Or
think
whoever was accused of that.
the idea of Vivi just like letting off blasts of hockey, like she's the one character from the Avengers was the Red Witch or whatever her name is kind of hilarious. But I don't know if I see it. I don't know. I guess I would say if that happened, like if Imu ordered her to be taken prisoner or something, and she did something like that, it would seem kind of like a Deus Ex Machina way to get out of that. I like the idea of Sabo helping her, but I think he would probably just take them back to Alabasta rather than taking her to Luffy.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on what the situation is. Lunar Sugar is happy about the continued escalation in Wano. Just had a quick thought on Blackbeard's fruit. Feel free to skip if this has been discussed, but what do you guys think would happen should Blackbeard touch Chopper? Would he temporarily turn back into a mindless reindeer? What about Brook? It makes me shudder to think about what would happen to those devil fruit users who are totally reliant on their abilities. Well, that's kind of cruel to reindeer to describe them as mindless, but
it's a good question.
Yeah.
It's probably just the kind of thing that's just never gonna get asked in this way.
Yeah, right. It does not seem likely, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to argue that it would be anything other than kind of a worst case scenario.
Because even Luffy's whole body is supposed to be rubber forever, like even when he's underwater.
Mhm.
But Blackbeard is able to turn that off.
Yeah, but he can't do it permanently, right? It's just when he's touching them.
Yeah.
So, as long as you pull Chopper free, then I would assume he would return to his normal self. But
What's the visual of that? And another weird thing about Chopper is he actually defaults to his hybrid form when he falls in the ocean.
does he?
Yeah. I think Oda's like addressed that, but I don't know if there's I don't know if there's like a really explicit explanation for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would just see like that teenage sort of reindeer form of Chopper, and he would know he's back when like he turns back into little Chopper or something.
That's my guess.
Yeah. We'll go to Bullet Catcher, who has a question for me. Okay, let's see. Knowing how that reverie probably should have began with L instead or R, how has Raftel been put in the story? Is it in English like in Oda boxes or just translated from Japanese? Because I have a weird feeling lately the last island might actually be Lafter, like laughter. Probably wrong, but just curious as to how it's written in the original. I mean, I've talked about this occasionally here and there that Raftel, like we really have no idea if Oda is going for any specific thing because it's always been written in katakana. So it's always just Rafuteru, which if you just Romanize that directly would be Rafuteru, Rafuteru. And so, you could reasonably choose like L's for either of them, R's for either of those, the consonants at the start and the end of the word. You could choose any of those syllables that go, or the syllables, the vowels that go in between those consonants, or other, more creative versions of that. Like it is very much a wide open thing, and we don't know.
But you normally would not spell laughter out like that in
No, that is
katakana,
true. It would probably be rafta with an extended a at the end instead of a teru. But there is a similarity there. I will grant that. However, this is all kind of academic because it's been that name has been in the story for years and years of publication time. And there's no way that we would change. This is just the same way that, we changed, Levelly back to Reverie in our edits of the Reverie chapters, because that's just the way that we have been spelling that. And it's pointless to change it unless it's for a super duper good reason. And I think that spelling does not really qualify as like a super duper good reason. I still prefer, even if I was given a choice. I'd never heard it before, and it was Reverie and Levelly. I would still prefer Reverie just because it's an English word. It sounds like something that would be used to describe a meeting like that. Levelly doesn't mean anything. But if he had spelled it out in English like the very first time we ever heard of it, then yeah, we would probably just go with that spelling. But it's not, so we just kind of go with what we got already. Let's see, last few here. Liquid Gaimon says, can we take bets on what the next artificial zone we see will be? I'll bet you 5 wrist rockets that it'll be the ladybug fruit. Believe it.
Have we seen a fox fruit yet? So I feel like, or like Kitsune or something, could be coming up in zone.
That's a good point. I mean, I think there's what is it? Kinemon's got his name is like Foxfire Kinemon.
Oh, that's right.
And he has like the disguise powers, which is kind of a fox thing. So that's possible. It wouldn't be artificial zone necessarily, but
there's a lot of animals I feel like we haven't seen. The thing is with the animal kingdom is it's almost limitless, and Oda's a big nerd when it comes to animals. He really likes them. So I think there's a ton of potential, and the less of them we see in this arc, the more disappointed I might be at the end of the day. Because I feel like when else are they gonna I guess there might be some big guns at the very end, but I feel like this is a pretty good time to, get some of the crazy animals out of the way.
I'm curious to see too if he's gonna do many overlapping ones where it's like, here's the Smile Fruit version of other powers that we have seen, because I feel like these the Smile Fruit Zoans are they're like the fake Straw Hat version of these animals. It's like they're really crappy parody versions of these animals, and so
I want to see a real lion and a real horse, and maybe not another Batman. I don't really care that much about that, but Gazelle Man. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, last one on Reddit is from Prince of Assassins, and I'm gonna tell you guys ahead of time. You should really look up this piece together thread for 537 so that you can see the link that is provided here. So Prince of Assassins says, Hey guys, a couple of weeks ago I was bored, so I decided to rewatch some of your old podcasts. During the podcast where you guys reviewed chapter 731, you guys had the following conversation after a question that said, "How does Fire Fist Ace come back after having a hole in himself?" So this is during Dressrosa, I believe. Yeah, that would be 700s. So we were talking about the Colosseum stuff in Dressrosa, and Steve is saying, post Marineford, there was this flashback that was kind of meant to establish the relationship between Luffy and Ace and how they're brothers. There was actually a third brother. His name was Sabo, who they thought had died, but he didn't die. That's the character in 731. This is referring to Mr. Cravat. Ace had a blah, blah, blah. And then I said, it would be pretty badass if Ace came back to life and he's like, I'm going to get my fucking fruit back. And Steve said, those motherfuckers, still with the hole in his body, hasn't changed his clothes at all. And then we have a new contestant, which is not legal at all and wouldn't normally be supported, but fuck it, we're just going to go with it anyway. Some shitty Tarantino ode to B movies. And Zach said, I would love that. So hearing this, I requested an artist, Minquatch94, to draw the situation you guys described. I don't know who is on the podcast, but I'm hoping Steve and Zach can see this as well, since it was you guys who gave me the idea. And it is a DeviantArt link that is titled Ace Returns, and it's a really, really well drawn
Wow.
page of the
Wow.
the scene in Dressrosa in the Colosseum, where a figure comes and slams into the arena. And Gats is announcing, this can't be true. It's the one and only Portgas D. Ace. And there's Ace in the middle with a giant hole in his chest. And he's saying, I'm getting my fucking fruit back.
There's so much effort in this.
Yeah.
In this whole ordeal.
Like he even drew a Piccolo in the stands.
And Goku, too. But he's
And Goku,
Panda Man.
And a Panda Man.
Awesome.
There probably are some other Furukawa characters back there.
But yet Sabo's still there.
Oh, I see Goku there.
Yeah.
Goku's hair is there.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine like Sabo explaining to Luffy, so yeah, I'm alive, and so is Ace, and he's currently getting his fruit back. So why are you here, Sabo? I don't know. Shock value?
I'm wondering what happens next in this story now.
Yeah.
And Cavendish is just shocked because the attention has been taken away from him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's it for Reddit.
That was awesome.
That is it for Reddit. Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to follow up
Thank
on
you.
this. So, Ed, why don't you give it a shot?
Peace the tweet.
Yeah, not bad. So what do we have this week?
All right, our first piece to tweet this week comes from Jonathan St. Martin, who says, what sort of smile users do you hope to see this arc? If you could create one, how would you design it?
So what kind of
Also-
smile do you want?
No, but the last part was actually.
Yeah,
Also, do you think Chopper's Rumble Balls might pique Kaido's interest?
Yeah, probably. To the last part of that. I could see him liking that.
I don't know. I feel like Chopper's sort of beyond using Rumble Balls at this point, although he does use them for Monster Point.
The bigger question is, will Chopper's Rumble Balls pique Oda's interest?
Fair.
Ice Rider 50 says, hey, OPP, since Zach did a reading for his dog, Lucy, will he do one for the pets of the other members of the podcast? I don't know. Jill, how do your cats like One Piece?
Sometimes if there's like things moving on the screen that they can try to catch, she'll like stand in front of the TV and go for it. So sometimes.
I think my
She
dog was a bigger
she
fan.
was-
You go ahead.
She was sniffing on your Shirahoshi figures, right?
That's
She's getting-
true. She
yeah.
was. It's shiny and they kind of look like fish, so she gets a little excited.
I was gonna say she's half fish, so. My dog watched Yu Yu Hakusho once and was like into it. I don't know what was happening, or was that
Good dog.
Or was that JoJo? I don't know. Whatever it was a good show.
Either way, what a dog. Give her a biscuit.
Next time you come here, Steve, you could watch some good anime and
Hey,
give her
Lucy,
food.
we're going to watch Kuwabara versus Elder Tagore. Where are you going?
All right, Elvergun says, is Oda reaching for the brony community now?
No.
I don't. Are they into centaurs? Is that how that works?
I keep saying that he's reaching out to the Equastronaut community.
Oh, is
I
that
don't
what that
think I've
is?
seen a brony to centaurs. It's usually all or nothing with them.
Wait, was that the Bob's Burgers reference? Is that
Yes.
what you're making? Oh, I just got it. Oh my god. Took me the whole time.
I have seen that one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
I also have a tattoo.
Thank you, Steve.
I'm sorry, don't thank me. I've been super late, but I know like Alex and I used to say that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Alex gets for not being here.
Yin Tab F says the reason Hold'em can breathe fire is because the Chimera can, which is the only lion-headed creature that can breathe fire, which makes me wonder if the Chimera fruit is what Vegapunk used as the base for Smile fruits.
I mean,
I don't really see the connection there, but
my basis of knowledge of chimeras comes from Full Metal Alchemist. So, I thought chimeras were just made.
Edward.
I thought chimeras were just to make really awfully immoral human-animal hybrids that.
Edward. Edward.
all right, probably shouldn't be.
Brother.
Now I'm just
Right now,
imagining.
there's someone listening to this podcast saying, too soon, too soon.
I'm just imagining Kamijiro as that dog.
Oh, Kumichio? Or
No,
Kamijiro?
well, or that. That's
Like-
also good.
I just have one question for you, Hold'em. Where's Nina and your pet lion?
God, that's why they took Tama.
Ah! I'm sorry, that made me really angry.
Now I get it. Now I see why Luffy's so mad.
They were going to take Tama to make a awful human experiment.
All right, next one comes from Operation Druid, who says, if a board game could present a person's personality, which board game would present a character from the One Piece world? Well, this is easy. Nami and Monopoly.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm still thinking about the last question. Wow.
Candyland for Chopper.
Yeah, that's easy.
Frankie is Mousetrap.
There you go.
I feel like
Luffy-
we totally answered this question.
Yeah, Luffy would just not play any game you put in front of him and would eat meat instead and get frustrated. I know that's a cop out. Yeah, exactly. I know that's a cop out. Well, I guess he would like that. I know that's a cop out answer, but
He would try like stretching his neck so that he could go around and see the other people's cards, like
Luffy's
that.
not a
Like they're not
cheater.
going to notice.
Luffy's not like that.
All right. Next one comes from Patrick Rizzola, who says, what are the odds of getting the Methuselah rookie card from the Fever Card Booster Pack? As we said, there aren't any rare cards with these, so...
No, don't ruin the joke, Ed. That's my
I know,
job.
but I don't know. I want to make sure people understand that. All right. Nira G123 says, would you bring Condriano back in a filler arc? If so, how would you like the story to be?
Oh.
This is the guy from G8.
Yeah,
I love
okay, that's what.
Condoriano.
Which
Yeah.
guy?
Condoriano.
How do you not know, Steve?
You
He's like
remember
this
him?
Navy inspector who gets
Yeah.
beat up by Luffy.
Oh, that was his name. Okay. Yeah, he was kind
No.
of like,
Or
No, no,
isn't
well,
that the name Usopp made
Condoriano's
up?
yes.
Right, but people keep calling him that despite the fact that he's got a real name.
Ah,
Or Usopp keeps calling him that at least.
we're talking about the purple guy, right?
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
picture.
He's kind of like proto Spondum.
Kind of.
So no,
He's not as reprehensible, but
no.
he's just a snob.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
What's
next one
next,
comes from Starch, who says, I think Jack could be a three-blade style user while in his hybrid form, which would be perfect if he faced Zoro. However, it's looking like Jack will be Luffy's opponent, possibly to help him improve his armament hockey before he faces Kaido. I don't know about that. If we're actually fighting Kaido, I don't know if we are, though.
You said he would have 3-sword style.
Yeah, I don't really understand where he's getting that from.
Yeah, I don't like that idea. Anyways, I mean we've seen like Zoro demolish the like Hachan with
Yeah.
6 swords or whatever. I don't know. It just seems like too gimmicky.
Okay. Return to Sabati says, Hunter x Hunter is coming back into Shonen Jump next week. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the series, but if you are, what nin abilities would the Straw Hats have? I don't know anything about Hunter x Hunter, unfortunately.
I mean,
No,
I've seen
I
a
don't
chunk
remember.
of Hunter x Hunter, but I cannot keep up with their power system.
Yeah, Especially because he like just invents something new every single time. I feel like.
Okay. Actually, let's see. Next one comes from Sniper by Heart, who says Speed and Luffy have the same smile. So is she secretly Luffy's mom? Damn it.
Serious fucked a horse.
Serious question. You wouldn't? How long do you think smile fruits have been around for?
For as long as Caesar has been making them. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Doflamingo producing them. I'm going to say around 2 years, because that's when Doflamingo talks to, what's his name? The auction house guy is like, it's the time it's the time of smile now.
Age of smiles or whatever.
Yeah, and we're like, what the hell is he talking about? Doflamingo is a weird guy. Yeah, so I'd say 2 years. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little more, but just around there.
Okay. Cracker Jakku says, I wonder if Kinemon could use his powers to create samurai armor for his allies in the fight against Kaido and Orochi's men. I think it would be testing the limits of his power, but, I mean...
It would look awesome.
Yeah. There's no logical reason why he shouldn't be able to do that with what he's able to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Illusion no Mi says, what did you guys think of the Bleach Netflix movie? I was really impressed with it, given it still had the good parts of the series. Did anyone watch this? There is a Netflix Bleach movie on Netflix.
I'm guessing it's Japanese.
That's the Japanese one. Right?
Yeah, it's a live-action Japanese.
Yeah.
Nah, man. His name is Ian Kuro Simmons.
All right.
It takes place in San Francisco.
So none of us have seen this.
No.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything of Bleach in a very long time. So.
To be fair, the best parts of Bleach are the beginning, and the worst parts of Bleach are the parts they drag out. So I could see.
So everything after the beginning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There were filler arcs in Bleach that are better than the end of Bleach.
100%. Yeah. The first filler arc was not bad. Not great, but it wasn't bad. That's to the point where they kept a lot of the filler characters because they're like, what else are we gonna do?
Pretty interesting. Too bad the creator didn't make them up. Oh well.
Yep. What's next?
Nolan says, it took Oda long enough, but he finally made Law a straw hat. Shout out to all the Law fans, especially dude.
My ship is real.
Question for you guys. Law offers you to switch your heart with any other real world person for a day. Who do you choose?
What are the side effects of that?
Wait, so it's exactly like it would work in Punk Hazard. You get to go into their
changing bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really swap their hearts; he just swaps their personalities.
Right.
Yeah.
Kinda.
That sounds awful. I wouldn't want anyone.
I mean, I have answers, but it's gonna get into a really. Yeah,
I have one
go
that's
ahead.
not perverted.
No, not like that.
No.
That's not what I was gonna say. Steve,
But
go
I have
ahead.
one.
How strong of you, Steve?
Go ahead, Steve.
Terry Crews.
Good answer.
Because
I wouldn't do that.
I want to be president too.
Yeah, I'll never be in that good a shape, and I'll probably never be that cool. So
Is Terry Crews taller than us?
he might be.
He seems like he would be.
It's a
Like, wow, this extra inch, man, I could see the world.
Guess
He's a
what?
football player,
6'3".
right?
I'm pretty sure he could pop his pecs too, right? He can make his
Yeah,
pecs
he does
dance.
that.
I would love to do that.
That's what all those.
and not
Old
just when
Spice
you're drunk
commercials were.
staring in the mirror.
Yeah, and maybe just yell things like "pup, pup, pup, a power," and people find it endearing. Yeah.
Not instead of just being like, "Fuck's your problem."
Yeah.
All right.
Terry Crews is exactly our height, Steve.
Oh,
Seriously?
Yeah.
He's
So
shorter
it's-
than I thought.
so Terry Crews would fit like a glove.
All right.
Zach is suddenly disappointed by Terry Crews.
Yeah. So wait, would he fit like a jacket?
Zach's like seen that.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Mm, mm.
Go ahead.
All right. It's Aura says, "Do you think Chopper's family is still alive, or were they eaten?" Well, they were dicks. So,
How long do reindeers live?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Probably not that long.
Maybe, I don't know, like 30 years maybe.
I'm
That's what I would
gonna
guess.
look this up. Yeah.
How much longer do we have with Chopper, guys?
I'm looking this up.
10 years.
10. Yeah.
Oh,
10 years.
Females are
Chopper's
15, males are 10, and 4.5 is their average.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chopper is actually like super old.
well, hold on. Maybe the
They
fact
said
that
the
he ate
human
the
fruit
human
affects
fruit.
that. It's like
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah,
if like
yeah.
Rob Lucci has a severely decreased lifespan because he has part of the cat fruit.
Let's not think about that too much. Ed?
91 Ryan says, "Hey Oda, the creator of A Centaur's Life called. They want their main character back." That's an interesting manga you posted a picture of there, or maybe it's an anime. I don't know. I've never heard of it before.
Oh, is it the Girl Centaur one or is it something else?
It's
Oh,
a girl
that's right.
centaur, yeah.
Oh, I've watched that anime. It's weird. It has a Holocaust episode.
What? I remember hearing about that.
I don't know whether I should be well, Jill, you can tell me whether I should be offended.
No,
Should
no,
I be
It's like,
offended?
they kind of try to be historical about it. It's
Oh, so like Italia.
uh,
And then everyone ate the pasta.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot about
Germany,
that show.
you stop being a bad boy.
Somehow
I-
more
no.
offensive than Angel Cop.
I was so much happier when I did not remember that show existed.
What I'm here
I
for.
remember with the year that was the only thing anyone cosplayed.
Oh my god, it was everywhere when we started this show. It was
yeah, I can tell you most
Homestuck,
of my friends are part of that.
Homestuck,
Yeah.
Hitalia. What did that morph into? Attack on
It's
Titan.
Italia
Titan.
evolved into Homestuck, and then Homestuck's evolved into Attack on Titans.
And Undertale now.
I don't know
Really?
what that
I
is.
would say Undertale.
I don't go to enough conventions anymore.
Yeah, me neither. I do like one a year now at most.
That's
So
what the kids are these
I was a
days.
really big Homestuck.
I think I
Yeah.
remember that.
Are kids little My Hero Macadamias these days? Is that
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really big.
It's a lot of
I
characters.
feel like that's more like that replaced the Naruto fan or
it's
the
variety,
Bleach fan.
not just everyone
Yeah.
wears the same jacket or t-shirt?
Like Bleach.
That
yeah.
was Bleach, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last one comes from our very own Brian Newton, who says, "I can already see the unbreakable fabric coming into play in the final battle for One Piece, where the Sunny has an undamaged flag atop its mast and proclaiming the treasure. Also, speed is hilarious."
I
Thank
like
you,
that
Brian.
theory. Yeah, that's a cool idea for why we should have unbreakable fabric.
Why we should continue to follow Bellamy through the story.
How would you be able to sew it? Or cut it?
Yeah, actually, our fabric expert here, Jill. I'm sure you have.
Just saying. I don't quite understand the logistics, but it's all good.
Yeah, can
Bellamy
you,
comes from the mystical old clan that carves the unbreakable fabric, and they put the poneglyph writing on it, just like the Kozukis.
Jill,
It all makes sense.
for
Trust
your
me.
next editorial, can you write a professional take on that? Just like a long,
Yeah,
detailed.
Like a full, really, really in-depth, like what theoretically kind of like weaving knit could this fabric have? All right.
Yeah,
I'm
it'll be
into it.
it'll be like something. What's the stupid mineral in Avatar?
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium. You'll weave the unobtainium into a beautiful flag. Okay, that's gonna do it for Piece Together, right? Unless there's anything else, Ed.
Sure.
Okay. Let's round off. This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 537. Jill has to go, so she won't be able to compete in trivia. But, Jill, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PyroTestUnlock. And man, I am so sad I don't get to be part of trivia.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
it's
know.
something I would know right off the top of my head and ace everything, but damn, looks like I have to leave.
I feel like this might have been on purpose. You don't have to make up excuses all the time, Jill. Thanks for coming on. Sam.
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on the One Piece podcast every week doing the anime recaps. And they can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com every week doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, My Hero Academia, and Black Clover.
I'm going to accidentally call it My Hero Macadamia, like in a public place where I should not. Steven.
And My Hero Academia and Black Clover have both been like surprisingly awesome lately. Like Black Clover especially has surprised me.
Yeah, I've actually been hearing good things about Black Clover.
Zach, is it more embarrassing to talk about anime in public or to mispronounce an anime in public?
It depends the setting.
I guess.
If I'm at an anime convention surrounded by fans of a series apparently that I've never heard of, and saying Macadamia, I might.
I have a list of mispronunciations I've heard over the years of tabling at conventions.
Wait, Steve, someone should totally cosplay as the main character from My Hero Academia, but carry around macadamia nuts, handing them out. But
Sounds like an Eric Andre segment.
but like completely straight face at conventions, just handing out macadamia nuts.
What about nut allergy, Zach?
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Anyway, Steve, Steven, where can people find you?
Well, not to continue this bit, but if you loudly and repeatedly get the name wrong in public at an anime convention, that's actually a power move because it shows you that you are above them, they are beneath you, that you don't even have to bother to get the name of their show right. Anyways, you can find Boku no Twitter at Translatosaurus.
Steve.
Man, hard to top that.
Yeah.
You could find me on the internet. You could find me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. Steve Yurko is the username. Also check out I'm starting to dip my toes into wrestling podcasts, but not the usual wrestling podcast.
I heard you've been podcast cheating on us with
Well,
Doctor.
Well, Zach, you got to start watch wrestling, and then you got to start memorizing entrance music because
not happening.
I'm doing a podcast with Doctor about wrestling entrance music. It's called Tune Suite. It's on the SSAA podcast Patreon feed at the moment. The first episode's out. We just recorded our second one, but yeah, check that out if you happen to like wrestling.
Oh, ass is backward. I get it. Sorry. No, yeah. So yeah, check it out. Doc is always great, and I don't understand any of it, but Steve and Doctor on a podcast is guaranteed dynamite. So if you can listen to that, Ed, where could the good people out there contact us?
You're Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm Edward E. One Piece. Podcast is at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/One Piece Podcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Please support us. Patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. You can subscribe on Google Play. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. That's right. And call us on our phone number, Zach.
Yeah, I forgot you weren't here last weekend. That phone number is 347-497.
I listened to the whole thing.
Maji. If you missed that phone number, it was 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
I can't believe I listened to the whole thing.
With your questions, your comments, or whoa, no, not the bees. Thank you guys for coming on this week's episode. But before we go, we have trivia. And since we had a cute little picture of Zonacia, let's go through the minks this week. So for those who don't know, how this game works, we go around naming characters in a category. Those who get it stay in the game. Those who cannot are out. And if you repeat, you're also out. You get 3 seconds. 3. I'm very strict about that, clearly. Anyway. So again, the category this week, minks, named minks canon. That's it. The order this week, Steve, Sam, Ed. Steven, would you like to start us off?
Cat Viper.
Steve.
Carrot.
You motherfucker!
And that's it. We're done.
Nope. Motherfucker is not a mink.
Sam.
Headliner.
Wanda.
That's amazing.
Oh, is my turn now?
This episode has been great. Ed, yeah, go ahead.
Dogstorm.
So you've picked the 4 most obvious minks.
Not really.
Steven.
Peckham's.
Yes. Steve.
Roddy.
Roddy Peeper. Sorry. Sam.
What's his name? BB?
Yeah, Black. Where are we, Ed?
Shishilian.
Steven?
Milky.
Just think of Milky Chance, the band, when I hear that. Steve.
Adro.
Sam.
Tristan.
God, are you guys just gonna blow through this whole thing? Ed,
Variete.
Steven,
Beppo.
Steve.
Oof.
Yeah, we're getting down to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Got 3
God.
seconds.
I know the goat doctor has a name.
Yeah,
but
he
I
does.
Fuck you, Zach.
Sam.
The goat doctor's name is Miyagi.
Yeah, it is. Ed.
Zeppo.
Okay, so everyone's still in except for Steve. Steven.
Let's see.
We got 4 left as far as.
4 left. Pastor Yomo.
Perfect. Full name there even. Sam.
Oh no. Was Hawkins' cat named Salem or something?
No, we actually just mentioned this character last week.
Yeah, I
Ed.
can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Steven, I'm sure does.
What was that big black-faced sheep name? The black sheep.
He said it
I
already.
don't remember.
He said it already.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
Wow.
that was.
That was
All right,
Yemo.
so that's
I had
going to
no
be
idea
it.
he was a pastor.
Steven, there are 4 left. Do you want to try and name them?
Well, the cat's name was Faust.
Correct.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
one
man.
dead
Wait.
character.
Sam, did you say his name was Salem?
Yeah, I went for
It's the
Salem.
cat from Sabrina.
Yeah, but
That's a good
it still
guess.
fits like the
Captain
occult vibe.
Hawkins, I'm hungry.
It still fits the occult vibe. I would not put it past Oda.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
a much
that's
better
right.
name, actually. Yeah, I like that. There are 3 more characters that have not been named. If anyone wants to give a stab,
I have no idea.
Steven? One of them is dead. One of them is a revolutionary, and one
Pedro.
of them shares the same name as someone else.
One of them is
Scotch?
Lindenberg or
Lindbergh.
Lindbergh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lindbergh. Mr. Lindbergh.
Mr. Lindenberg. I hope he comes
I'm
back.
not the mink here.
You're the mink here. I'm not the mink
There's
here.
there's a dead mink.
I'm not your mink anymore. I'm your new mink.
Please tell her that she should call me back as mink as possible, or Map, or
Sap.
Okay, we're
I know.
stuck in a
If
home
Maddie's
movie.
listening to this episode, I'm sure she's thrilled.
Okay, the remaining 2 are Zeppo, who is dead.
I
and-
said him.
No, yeah,
I
it
did
said
say
that.
Zeppo.
Oh, I thought you said Beppo. Did no
No,
one
no,
say
someone already
Beppo?
said Beppo.
I said.
And then
I
I was
was
shocked
saying
that
Beppo.
Steve got out instead of saying Zeppo.
Oh, okay. Monji's the last one. The monkey Monji, not the other other.
Oh
Monji.
yeah, the old monkey.
The old monkey
Man.
guy who had the same
Ah,
name. It's
yeah, I would
Monji, I think, is the difference.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's
Wow.
what a climactic finish to this episode.
I you know what? Tying it in with the Mr. Lindenson impression, I feel like I won. That's all that matters.
Both Steves win this week. One for real and one with a Mr. Lindenson impression.
Sounds like us. Up and down the line.
So that has been this week's episode of the One Piece Podcast. Next week we're back with Chapter 918. The manga continues. And what anime episode are we up to? I'm so lost. Well, whichever one. We'll do that next week. Along with a lot more. So we'll see you then, everyone. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Mr. Lindenberg.
See you
Bye,
next,
everybody.
we'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
感じるんだ涙乾かしてくれる風を探しに行こう冒険の旅誰かと出会うために立ち止まらないさほら前に大切な君が待ってる
Typical Japanese name ending thing, but the kanji for that one means to bite. So I like to call the lion Bitey Jiro.